Okay, it is Thanksgiving. We're in the van still, but hope springs eternal. While I was off making what turned out to be a rather pointless run downtown to try and claim some money from my late father, I can't make the claim, my mom has to, because she's technically next in line. Well, Steph met a guy who thinks he might have an idea that it might not be the timing belt on this car. It might be something, like some master fuse or something went wonky. So we may be out of this a little sooner than planned, or a little cheaper at least. So he's coming by later. I was going to bring us some Thanksgiving dinner too. So I'll have more to go on than just the remains of a rotisserie chicken and some chocolate wafers in the bar. Now here we are at the fall break, I guess, for Star Trek Discovery, and what are we left at with right here? We got technology and ships and races that do not fit anywhere near the prime timeline, despite the... Oh, it takes place in the prime timeline. Yeah, not by looking at this show you got. And besides that, almost all of the characters are somewhat despicable. The only ray of sunshine in this whole thing is Tilly. And sorry, as one cute redhead does not a show make, Especially when she's supposed to be a minor support character, and your primary character is so far... She's only amazing and awesome because everyone keeps saying she's amazing and awesome. You go by her actions, and she's just as big an idiot as everybody else. And it's only recently they've actually had to start doing things, and even then, it's still contrived. But we're being sure. Don't worry. By the end of the season, it'll all line up. That's not really reassuring, especially coming from the same guy who played a part and royally screwed up the ending of Lost. It's like, sorry, Alex, you don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore. You shouldn't have in the first place after what you did to that show, okay? So, things better start explaining themselves pretty damn quick. Because so far, the only plausible theory we got right now is this whole thing is taking place in an alternate timeline, and it looks like they may have jumped into another alternate timeline, possibly the old mirror universe we all know and love. We'll have to see what happens there. We know this is not the mirror. We know the mirror universe plays a part in the show as per Brian Fuller's original plans. Like I said, the original first half of the season must be, mirror universe, but the mirror universe, that's not the mirror universe because the Terran Empire was around back in Archer's time in the mirror universe. So this is something different. Maybe a mirror universe, but it's not the mirror universe. Maybe a second cousin of the JJ verse, that's the thing. But, like I said, we really aren't any closer to knowing what's going on than we were when this whole thing started. Now, the franchise as a whole, I'm not worried about. It's now an indelible part of, American culture. It's just as much there as Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, it's there. And like them, they survive good movies, survive bad movies, and bad press, and, fan fiction and everything else. So, just a matter of sooner or later, somebody comes along has the right idea to make it all good again. And this will be shaked off like a bad case of the fleas if it doesn't stick. Which is, so far, what we're looking at right now. Because they're, for this thing to work on their turn, it better be one hell of a payoff to make this worth it. And I don't see that happening because
Jones?
They're talking, this is prime timeline. They have done wholesale slaughter to the prime timeline. Because reminder, to those who weren't keeping score, we have seen this time period already. It's called the Cage. And nothing matches in any way, shape, or form. Not the uniforms, not the technology. And I find it very hard to believe the Klingons went from these, sleestack, electroid-looking creatures to Koldoth and Kur and Kang in a space of 10 years. And besides, I think they're doing some right. We'll explain what. No, we already know what happened in that case. It's called Go Back and Watch Enterprise and the Augment storyline. That's how that happened. So again, we don't know where. The Klingons are the least of the issues, because I say there's an offshoot of Klingons. These are isolationists, and the augment virus just boosted their cause. It's like, see, this is what happens when they try and mix with humans. So these may actually be a bit of a regression, genetically wise, from what the Klingons were at the beginning of Broken Bow, with their standard ridge and the long hair. These guys went way off the thing, and they kind of de-evolved a bit. But yeah, the Klingons the least of the issue. It's the issue of Starfleet and holotechnology when there was none before. And frankly, even when it was in the later shows, they dropped it because it was stupid. And we're not seeing Star Trek. We're seeing Star Wars holography here. That kind of, and not to mention instant real-time communication across distances would normally, we should get an answer in about 6 hours, Captain. No. But So yeah, we got a bit of a mess, but it's going to be a while longer before we can figure out what's going on yet. So, and I think when all said and done, that's going to be, are you happy now? We're back at no, because we shouldn't have gone this far down the path in the first place. There was no need for it, especially if it all unravels and somehow gets warped into the prime timeline, and everyone's back in proper uniforms, and the Discovery looks like a proper starship of the 2250s. Then it's like, what the hell was the whole point then? What's been gained? What was the reason for all this nonsense? Except for just showing us what you can do with modern technology. Sometimes it's not exactly been that hot. Okay, you kind of wonder, where's the $6 million per episode going towards? To the 15 executive producers you got? That should be a real big red flag to any show. When you got more executive producers than you have cast members, you got problems. You got a show run by committee. And that is not a way to run a TV show, okay? And that's one of the reasons I don't like working in television, frankly. Too many chiefs. I prefer radio. It can be a one-man show if you have to be. But that's where we stand right now, both individually with his van and collectively as fandom. So, we'll weather this storm somehow. I'm hoping that, fandom doesn't get more further and further fractured than it already is, because this is bad. Okay, I mean, even previously when people, screaming at me, because they always wanted me, oh, no one liked the motion picture when it came out. Yeah, and I was one of those who was complaining a bit when it came out, and then I saw the designs, but then saw the movie. Okay, fine. Because that's the difference. Eventually, most of the fans come around and say, okay, we accept it as part of the thing. This is a bridge too far. This and JJ Trek, these have been serious breaks. Not to strain on the fan community, but out and out cracks and breaks and thing. Because it was bringing in new fans, not necessarily. If you're bringing in fans, all they know is JJ, and that's all they care about. They're not really fans. They're watching the Flash and the Boom, and they don't care about the rest of the show. And they go off, and what have we gained? Nothing. Those few that have, stuck around and started watching the old stuff and like it, great. More the merrier. But we're not getting many of those, I don't think. What we need is, again, it goes back to if they had given Seth MacFarlane the nod, back when, because, he was one of the guys that was brought in when the indications are the Orville was his pitch. Just do a quick hand wave and put them in Federation uniforms and make the Orville, with nacelles instead of the loops in the back, and it's Star Trek Orville, And consider what's going on in that show. And this kind of goes back to what was going on with the disconnect in both shows, really, between the critics and the audience. Because there does seem to be some built-in bias against Seth MacFarlane in whatever he does. For whatever, sins, real or imagined, he committed in the public marketplace, that just automatically gets him slammed. Because they're showing like 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. The audience response is over 90% last I checked. And again, the ratings in the last couple would just skyrocket. For double. It's the biggest show they've got. Going on Fox right now since Empire, and that thing went and went. I thought that's a show I thought was going to die a quick death because none of these characters are appealing in no way, but no, they took off. But yeah, they started counting the numbers a little more carefully, and yeah, they're doing it very well. Especially when you count in the people watching later and DVR and all that. And flip side over on Discovery, everyone seems to be wanting to. No one wants to be the reviewer that says this show sucks. Sorry, but Star Trek sucks again. And no one wants to be that guy. They want to suck up, so they keep getting invited to the big posh premiere parties by CBS and whatever. And yet that audience number has been going steadily to come. Last I saw, it was down in the mid-50s. So the bloom's off that rose already. And yeah, they will probably get a second season if the financing holds up. If Netflix said no, not with his numbers, then yeah, expect a reversal. Where they say, well, that's it, and things have changed, and now that's it for Discovery. Because Netflix is having cash flow problems as it is, and if it's written, and I know one of these articles someone cited about what the audience anticipation numbers or people asking for it. Where are they getting these? Because they're like 12 million. Something like that. And CBS All Access only has 1 million subscribers, and you can guarantee not all of them are watching Discovery. Okay. So it's like people who wish they could get it. It's like, what the hell does that count for? That's a nothing number. And people are trying to cite that as a reason that the show's going great. And that's part of the advantage that Orville has. Like, you got real ratings numbers going on there, and it's as wide an audience as you're going to get on a show. And it's been touted. Once they realize it's not Galaxy Quest in space. Once they get past that misconception that Fox, promotion department put out, and they can really, watch the show for what it is, a genuine, honest sci-fi show that just got a little higher humor quotient than average, but it's still a very straightforward show. The last episode, there weren't very many jokes, okay, and it starts off the ship's getting the crap kicked out of it by a plasma storm, and a guy dies rather horribly, And I think the closest thing to a joke is, Gordon comment, looks like a screensaver, doesn't it? Looking at the screen. But other than that, it's all business. And lots of explosions and people getting rocked around and grave danger. Then once you realize this isn't Galaxy Quest, and it's certainly not Family Guy in space. It's not Ted in space, Buddy. Yeah, it's a legitimate show, and it's being taken legitimately now. I think people, I'll see, well, the pilot sucked. Go back and watch that pilot again, okay? It's one of the jokier episodes, but it's still not that jokey, okay? Most of the jokes were in the preview trailer. And granted, kind of exploding a redwood tree inside an alien ship, that's a new way of doing it, but hey, it worked. And didn't have to pull things out. It was within the confines of the show. So yeah, you tell me which one's doing better right now. Why so many of the Star Trek fans have now fully embraced Orville and are more than willing to tell Discovery to go pound sand. So we'll see in January. Hopefully well before then, we'll be in Virginia and set up shop and get something resembling this the rudimentary studio setup. If I can really get, because I'm also put in for an on-air job or a couple of one station. I think I didn't put in for the second one. I actually the one. Yeah, I only put in for the one station. But I forget what the call letters are, but it's a classic rock station in Virginia Beach and Norfolk area. If we can get that going, then it's like that house will become a lot faster than planned, because banks do, a little more free with the loan money when you have gainful employment. So even the VA loans, you still got to do your credit check on there. So the more the merrier. Anyway, PayPal, Patreon, down below. We still need your help on a lot of this stuff, because even if this guy turns out to be right and it's some kind of electrical thing, just yap and fuse and boom, it'll start again. They still got to replace the radiator. There's no getting around that. That's still $110 right there. And somebody who can replace, because it's still going to be a pain in the butt to place. We got a couple angles going here. We got the one guy at the church. He looked at it and he's going to crunch the numbers. We'll be back after Thanksgiving sometime, and we should be able to get things rolling before too long. And if we can get out of here by the end of the year, if we can, like I said, right now the goal is Virginia by Christmas. And we can get out of this mess back east, because I have about had it with this state anyway. It was just as well the food stamp got cut off anyway, because whatever, we're gonna have to get off them anyway. There's only $120 a month thing. That didn't last long. But like I said, we're not far from getting out of here and getting moving. Maybe do a couple from the road. Still got to plot out the route we're going to take when we get this thing going here. I'd like to swing through Texas. Get Brad on here and have a little fun, production from the old days.
What about Dayton?
Well, if we go, swing by, little visit with Dayton Ward, noted Star Trek author, and kind of the inspiration for what we called the Wardies when the Strange New Worlds thing was going on. That's basically when you get in, if you got into the Strange New Worlds books 3 in a row, that was because that's what Dayton did. He was in the first 3 or something in sequence. So anyone who pulled that up was called, winning a Wardie. So, and he's got a decent career going here. I don't know if he's quit the day job yet. I think he's still having the day, but I think he's getting dang close. But it might be good to sit down with him and chat and get some up here. And again, I want to do some interviews, and take advantage of the people that I know through various means. And
can't forget Kevin either.
And if his hetero life partner Kevin Dillmore's around, get him in there too and have some fun. It's a phrase they borrow from Jay and Silent Bob. That's the way Jay describes Silent Bob. He's my hetero life partner, Silent Bob. Yeah, PayPal, Patreon, and I might throw in the link of I think we still got the GoFundMe page on there.
Yeah, somewhere.
Because at the very least, again, if it turns out it's just another blown fuse amongst the longest of other blown fuses in this car, that's something. When I drove it off the lot, the radio worked. I was listening to KBCO on the way over here, and then somewhere half along the way, I think during one of the times I tried to jump it, and it's out or something. And half the dashboard lights were, out. So, I think you've got a series of fuses just going bad on this thing. And I got a pair of needle nose pliers. Just the problem, it's uncomfortable as hell trying to get the little patch right over here along the thing, and it's way in there. And trying to get in there and it's a pain. But the itty-bitty blade. And I think there's at least one fuse box in there for the engine compartment. Maybe a couple others, because a couple boxes I can't really get into. But if it turns out it's just it's stupid fuses going weird, then because fuses are like $5 maybe, or get a box of them for like $5. Whereas the belt is $24, and they say to do it right, you got to build the kit, which is the tensioners and stuff. That's like $100. So if we can limit this down to just the radiator and then an oil change, if we can get it to pass emissions, so we at least get a temporary tag, so we don't have to get pulled over as much, great. But yeah, it is time to bid Colorado adieu.
Dang straight.
And return back to one of the lands of my ancestors, and then one thing I want to start doing over there is also get some videos from my other channel, the non-genre stuff that's just under Bob Little page, and little historical stuff on there. About the families, place in Virginia history. And in fact, I'm ruminating the ideas for a documentary on. Can't say ancestor because he didn't have any children, but he's kind of like a half uncle. I'll explain that in there, but it's like a direct ancestor to his half-brother. Direct descendant of his half-brother. And he's had a couple of books written about him. He was quite a character. It's Louis Littlepage. A little shorthand, he kind of stumbled onto this historical scene when the Revolutionary War. He was protesting the British while he was at William and Mary College. He got recommended to the diplomatic mission to Spain, or to try and get support for the war. He was attached to John Jay's entourage. And
going off on a tangent.
well, it's a tangent, but it's fun. It's just a little formative. He got involved in some of the family politics, and as sometimes happened during the day, back in the day, a little public feud ensued, where Lewis sided with some family members against Jay, and with John Jay was a Supreme Court justice. He's also a bit of a dick. You learn about a lot of the personal lives of these people. And they're conducted by basically open letters in the newspapers at the time. They would, post, regarding so and and they would just fight out that way. Lewis would post something in the local, and then Jay would come back with something else. And amongst the audience was George Washington. He loved reading these things. It's, entertainment of the day. Man, I was in Paris, I think, as part of it again. And then somehow he got involved in Spain and joining the Spanish armies fighting the British. Something like that. He was on a munitions barge and it blew up, and he survived that. And eventually wound up to, serving King Stanislaus of Poland. Went during their kind of alliance / struggles with the Russians. I think he was one of the favorites of Catherine the Great. Which normally, if you know Catherine the Great, means a lot of In this case, no, he was not her type at all. She liked big, beefy guys over, like Potemkin, I think his name was, or one of the big Russian general guy, over 6 foot. And Lewis was like 5'3" and skinny, and he was not her type at all. But he was very entertaining, made her laugh, whatever. And it was lucky for him that she did make him laugh, because when the hammer came down on Stanislaus, it's like, okay, it's like he could easily have wound up in a gulag or whatever, but no, here they paid him $1,000 for £1,000 for his trouble and sent him back to Virginia, which was fine because his health was wrecked by then. It's like, lived out the last months of his life, slowly dying. So it was one thing, he suffered from malaria all of his life. Virginia was a very swampy area back then. So, but yeah, I'll get into all that. It's a very there's one book, because I'm going to use in the sources, The King Chevalier, about his history, and it reads a lot like an adventure novel. It's a very interesting read. It's an old book. You got to really dig to track it down. But it should be a fun one to research that one. In fact, I'm hoping Christy Golden will take up my challenge to do a historical novel on the guy. But yeah, that's stuff like that I want to do on the other channel. So I don't, just really for my own amusement, and getting some of this stuff down. Because the family has had a rather poor excuse for historians over the years. They're very scattered around. You see a little page pop up in the history books and then drop back out. But yeah, PayPal, Patreon, make all this possible, because we've actually lost a subscriber somewhere along the way. So we're up to 569. Okay, we're at 570 at one point. I don't know what happened. Nobody tells me when they leave. They just, not that I really want to know anymore, but we got, everything. Everyone's kind of stalled out a little bit. It's not just me. A lot of people kind of stalled out on the subscriber front. So we got to get things moving again. And we'll, catch you later.